Hey friends, welcome to Embrace the Question. I am Steve and it is record night, so I'm happy to be with you. Tonight I'm tackling a question asked by one of our channel supporters, and that is it necessary to pray the same thing over and over and over again? Is it necessary to pray repetitive prayers? So we are going to tackle that one. Before we get started, please hit the like button, and you don't have to pound it like other people want you to do, but just gently tap it because that would greatly help me out. And subscribe if you haven't. There will be times when I will post something that you know all about and you will not need to tune in for that one, but then there will be another time that I'm going to post something that you're going to be very interested in and you're not going to want to miss it. So please subscribe and hit the little bell on there so that you will know when I post a new video. Okay, on to the topic of the night, which is, do I need to pray repetitive prayers? How necessary is that? Well, if you're familiar with one of the other teachings I've done recently, which is the teaching about the 3 levels of sonship, there is a lot in there about this kind of prayer. If you would like to check out that video, I will post a link up here somewhere so that you can check that one out. But we are going to recap it, and it looks like something like this. I am pulling most of my information out of Matthew chapter 6, a bit out of Matthew chapter 7. You can look in Luke 11, which is where this other teaching was largely taken from. But the answer that I'm going to give you is this. It is not necessary to continually ask for the same things over and over and over again. How does Jesus instruct us on prayer? Well, Matthew 6 says, don't heap up a lot of vain words like the Gentiles do. That was apparently something that was very, very prevalent, I guess. And when you think of the Gentiles and the way they prayed and who they prayed to, it must have been quite a show they were going to put on. Jesus said, don't be like these guys that like to stand on the corner and pray so that everybody can hear them, so that everyone can admire their devoutness. Simply was a bit of a turnoff to Jesus. He said, when you pray, pray in secret. You don't have to use a lot of repetitive words. You don't have to use flowery speech. He says in Matthew 6, and I love this, he says, your Father already knows what you need before you ask. And that is why we tend to pray the same thing over and over again. God, are you listening? Are you hearing what I'm saying? I mean, I've only asked you 10 times. And that's how we treat him. We treat him like he's deaf. But the truth is that we do not pray with faith. So we do ask over and over and over again as if we expect nothing to happen. And we pray out of fear. And I don't think being afraid in itself is always counted against us, if you will. I know that as a father, I know that there are times when my kids are afraid. I certainly don't hold that against them. There are certain things that I would have them mature out of, especially when it comes to my ability to take care of them, right? You don't want your children to always be afraid when you're driving them to a friend's house just because, I don't know, they're afraid they're not going to get there. Certain things that they're going to have to mature out of. Your dad, your mom, and you are quite capable of getting them to their friend's house. They don't need to be afraid, right? God's no different. How many times has he delivered you from whatever you were afraid of? But in Luke 11, we find again the picture of the persistent knocker, right? The one who's standing outside the door saying, "Hey, I've got guests coming into town. I need some bread. Can you get up and give me some bread?" And the master of the house yells from inside. He says, "Hey, I'm already in bed. Me and the kids, we're all bedded down. We're not getting up again." And the persistent guy on the outside continues to knock and knock and knock. And finally, the master of the house gets up, gives him what he's after. And as I pointed out in the other videos, who do you want to be in the story? Do you want to be the guy on the outside of the door knocking persistently, the friend? Or do you want to be the son who is actually inside with the father the whole time and never wanting for anything? We tend to put ourselves on the outside of the door. Why? Why do we do that? Because when we do finally get what we're after, it makes us feel good because we persisted. And it feels like we worked for something. It feels like we triumphed in a way. And we take the credit for it. It's a bit of a problem. It's something that feeds our ego. But it says, Matthew uses this at least one time, and Luke writes it as well, that whoever asks will receive. Be it the servant, be it the friend, be it the son. If you ask, you're going to receive. It doesn't say you have to persist. It never says you have to persist. Now in Luke, in chapter 18, the parable is told by Jesus of a judge that is not a righteous man and a widow who is needing justice done in her life is coming, and she's bugging this judge, and she persists, and she's continually bothering this judge until he gives her what she needs. Jesus says, this man was unrighteous, but your Father in heaven is righteous. This man was an unrighteous judge, but your Father in heaven is very righteous. So even so, the unrighteous judge would eventually give the widow what she needed, but your Father in heaven, he always provides you what you need. And he ends this story with this: nevertheless, when I return, will I find faith on the earth? Meaning, I think, do you really have to persist with a righteous father if you know that he is seeking justice on your behalf? If you know that he won't delay, if you know that he will not withhold from you, even though there is sometimes, it seems, a delay, he will give you what you need. So do you have to persist in prayer? My answer to this is, if you do, it's for you. It's not because of him. We persist in prayer because we lack faith that he hears us and that he will answer us. It has to do with our faith, does it not? When I return, will I find faith on the earth? I always have Father's ear. And when I ask something, if I have to ask over and over again, it's because of me. It's not because of him. It's because of my lack of faith, not because of his lack of faithfulness. Right on? So, guys, be blessed. Love you all. I'll talk to you on the next video. Peace.